if your space is small, you want to get furniture that actually is to scale for the space. So if you have a small room, don't go get a king size bed.
That's a great tip.
You know, sometimes you got to settle for the queen,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. Just try to only have two people in the bed. It's fine, you know?
Nice.
But, or if you have a small room, maybe, and placement doesn't work, maybe a day bed. You know what I mean? Something you can place against the wall. And sometimes I think people always want to have their bed in the center of the room. But if you really don't have a lot of floor space, sometimes putting your bed in a corner works better. And then you can have some flow in your room.
I am Amelia the Realtor, and welcome to Happily Ever Sold. This is where we talk all things real estate. Hello, everyone. It is Amelia the Realtor here, and welcome to Happily Ever Sold. So this is where we talk about all things real estate. We talk about the business side, we talk about the practical side, and we combine it all into just one conversation. So today, we're putting a little spin on our conversation today. So we know that one of the most exciting parts of buying your home, moving, going into new space is customizing it. It's personalizing it to suit who you are. You know, we want people to feel when they come into our space that they're able to see who we are, our likes, our dislikes. We want our home to talk to us. We want our home to give us that warm and fuzzy feeling every time we walk in. It's our sanctuary. So, with that being said, my special guest today, the expert, of course, is Miss Shemeika Wright. She is the CEO and visionary of Just Wright Designs. That's right, everyone. We're talking about interior design today, and I think it's going to be a great show. Shemeika, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
Welcome, everyone.
I'm so glad that you are here today. I just want to kind of go ahead and dive in. So tell me a little bit about Just Wright Designs. Like, how long have you been in business, and when were you first bit by the design bug?
Oh boy. I think I first got bit by the design bug haphazardly. I was between semesters in college and taking temp jobs because the temp jobs just happened to pay more, but you didn't really have to commit. And then I ended up at an architectural firm over here on Flagler, and all I had to do was answer phones
Mm.
and take messages. And in between, they had the magazines from their firm and other architectural magazines. And I just remember being so engulfed and like turning the pages, and the phone would answer, and I would quickly take this message. Yeah, yeah, okay, bye. And get back to the magazine, you know? And I just, I realized I walked away from that experience like, oh my God, like, why was I so interested in this? Like, I really love just looking through the magazines and just seeing the spaces and just these beautiful spaces. And I think that's the first time I got bit by the bug.
Really?
I think that was the first time.
So definitely happenstance.
Definitely happenstance. Although I can recall I got an assignment when I was in school, and I was probably in like maybe fourth grade or fifth grade. And we had to take a shoebox and do a floor plan of our home
Well,
or our room. Listen, my shoebox had bedding, my windows opened, I had curtains, I had sewn pillowcases, I had rugs, I had cut up clothes. And my mother was like, "Did you really just cut your clothes up to make a rug?" Like, I think I probably should have picked up on something then.
So what I'm going to say is that you really need to refine your answer. You need to, because it sounds like the design bug hit you way before.
I had no
you were
idea
sitting
what
in that
interior design
architectural
was
firm.
back then, though. I was just a kid, and I just wanted to make my aerial view of this home. It was a lot.
Yes.
That memory came back to me some time ago, and I was just like, no, this was in me a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So tell me when you first thought to yourself, like, all right, so I am going to, this is interesting to me. This sparked my attention. I love looking at this, but I really think this is something that I can do with my talent. I think I can do this.
Right. Well, I realized that I have a lot of talents that I've been blessed with. I'm very good with my hands. I can build things. I'm really good with math and
Mhm.
measurements, and I can eyeball things really easily, and I don't know, and I realize that I'm a visionary. I
Mhm.
can look at a blank piece of paper and totally create a whole
Mhm.
piece of artwork. So I knew I was an artist at the core,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I had very practical skills that, like I said, and I started off in education, and after some years, I just felt very just kind of like a rat on the wheel,
Yes.
just kind of doing the same thing every year. It's like, okay, new set of students, rinse and
Mhm.
repeat. And I was getting bored. And I remember, I do like to talk to God before I make a move.
Mhm.
And I just remember praying, like, okay, Lord, I need a new path. I need a new career. Teaching is not paying me. I need to make some more money. Where do I go? And so I'm like, you gave me all these gifts. How do I
Yes.
use these gifts? Like, what
Yes.
do you want me to do? And so, sometimes you ask and you wait.
Mhm.
And
And then you wait.
somehow it just came to me, like he kept putting it in front of me,
Mhm.
and I believe he was sending me messengers, and the messengers were falling short. My best friend was a teacher, and the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale
Mhm.
had presented in her classroom, and she was like, oh, Mika would probably really like this, because she knew I was kind of
Mhm.
on this
Mhm.
journey to find something else. And so she took the number, got their card, and was like, I'm gonna give this to Shemeika, and never did. And
But I had to say something to that because I was on another guest that I had on previously. We spoke about how important it is to have the right people in your circle.
Mhm,
You know, people that listen to you, people that hear your dreams, your goals, your desires, and it means something to them as well.
mhm.
Because and I love what you're saying because she didn't have to do that.
She
She could have just
didn't,
been like, "Oh, that's interesting." But no, she
but
cared
she
enough
knew I was
about what
on a
was
journey,
inside
right?
exactly, and knew was important for her to help you however she could.
Yeah, but the way life works, you people forget,
It
because
right?
we're human.
We are human.
And
Mhm.
and so she referred that presenter to her mother's classroom, and her mother was like, "Oh, this will be great for Shamika. I'm going to tell Shamika about this school." Never told me.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
and so I'm in the car one day, and I'm just driving down the road, and I hear a commercial about an open house for the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, and they were like, go into this career in
Mhm.
interior design, and I was like, interior design, and I was like, but I was driving,
Yes.
and I was like, oh, I can't write this number, and I missed the commercial. And then one day I'm sitting at a red light, and there's that commercial again.
Once
And I
again.
was not moving, and I had a pen ready.
Yep.
I wrote it down. I started researching, looked it up, got the date, and I showed up to the open house and toured the school, did the whole thing. And I remember sitting with the advisor, and she was just like, all right, so are you ready to enroll? The application fee is just $50.
Mhm.
And at the
Mhm.
time, and this was like back in, I don't know, probably 2009, 2008 or something like that. And I remember saying to myself, Shamika, you get paid on Friday. You only have $50 left.
Yes. Yes.
But I literally had $50 on me. And I was like, these are like your last $50, Shamika. But
Mhm.
I also was
It
like,
was bigger than the money.
it was bigger than the money. And it was
Mhm.
like, but what are the odds that you happen to have $50
Yes.
exactly on you right now
Yes.
to pay to enroll? And so I was just, I was like, hey, I felt like that was, just right place,
Yeah.
right
Your
time.
open door.
I was like, I don't know. The Lord will provide. He'll feed me for the rest of the week. We'll figure this out.
You'll figure it out.
And
Yes.
I paid my $50, and before I knew it, I was taking classes. I was driving to Fort Lauderdale in 5 o'clock traffic 2, 3 days a week for 2 years, studying residential design. And it was just, I was in my
In
element.
your element.
Every time I showed up to class, it just felt right. And I learned. quite a bit. And,
Mhm.
I even, and through the process, just kind of like, do I really know what I'm doing? Like, am I really good at this?
Mm.
And I remember one of my final classes was an ergonomics class. And, so we had to create like a floor plan from scratch, and we had to accommodate for, a disabled
Mhm.
child. And, we had to make sure the spacing was correct and that everything for this family to have this type of
To fit,
lifestyle
yes.
um, was in place. And in addition to that, actually make it beautiful. And so I caught the flu.
Wow.
I caught the flu like the week the design was due. And I don't know, I was crazy, but I was sitting there and just like coughing and sneezing and blowing my nose, and drafting table in front of me, and I'm drafting and
And you were
coughing,
doing it.
and I was just doing it, and I couldn't go to class, but I was like scanning my designs and sent
Yes.
emailing them to my professor, and he was, you know,
You were invested.
I was so locked in,
Yes.
and but I didn't even think anything of it the whole time I was doing it. All I kept thinking was, I hope this is good enough. I hope this is good enough.
And I heard what you said when you made a mention that you question, like, can I even do this? Like, is this something I can do?
Yeah.
And it's funny how sometimes we are our own worst enemy.
Mhm.
Most of the time, we are our own worst enemy. Um, Even in the real estate space, like I talk to so many people who, in their mind, they want to be homeowners, but you would think it's their credit score, you would think it's the cash flow, all of those other factors
Mhm.
that are deterring them. But the first thing that's deterring them from buying a home is themselves,
Mhm.
because it's hard for them to picture
As
themselves as a
homeowners.
homeowner. It's hard for them to picture, like, can I go through this process? And so I tell my clients, and even people who I meet who are not my clients yet, like, get out of your own head, knowing that home ownership is for you.
Mhm.
You can do this.
Yeah.
Like, it just takes one step. Even
Right.
if it's just writing on a piece of paper, I am a homeowner and this is my desire. Like, this is what I want my home to look like and be.
Yeah.
And then picking up the phone and calling me, Amelia the realtor,
I mean,
absolutely,
naturally.
without a doubt. But it's just getting out of our own head. We are our biggest,
Yeah.
we stand in our way every time. So tell me, do you remember your first design job?
Yes. So so I'm at the tail end of, well, the end of that story was as
Uh-huh.
I'm doing my creating this design that I'm not even sure I'm doing correctly or to the standard
Mm-hmm.
that it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I get to class on the because we had to present it, and he was like, "Okay, well, you missed the last, you have to
Mm-hmm.
you have to present." So I'm
Right.
like, "Okay, I'm feeling better. I can come into class." And but of course, got stuck in traffic. I think I got by the time I got there, everyone had presented
Mm.
and they were about to leave. But I came in, and he selected five. The tradition was, you select the top five.
Okay.
Their designs get,
Displayed.
displayed
Mm-hmm.
on the walls in the
Mm-hmm.
design department around the school. And he had already selected his five. And but he was like, so you can get your grade,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and present. And so I came up with my board and I placed it. And I just remember turning and I'm like, okay. And I looked at the class, and the class was like this.
Yeah. Yeah. They
And
were
I'm
impressed.
like,
For me?
okay, is this bad or good? I didn't know what the faces were.
Right.
And, so one student was like, oh my God, this is so deep. I can see the
Mm.
tile on the wall. Like, and I was like, oh, those are good looks. Like,
Mhm.
they were
Mhm.
in awe
Yes.
of the design. And I'm like, okay, well, okay, I guess I did good.
That
Let
just
me
like
go
it
ahead
did
and start. So, and basically by the time because we had to kind of talk them
Mhm.
through the design so they could see the vision
Yes.
and understand the floor plan and everything. And so when I was done, my professor said, well, I think it's safe to say we're going to have six designs this year.
Mm. Come on. All
Because he
right.
didn't want to take away from the people he had already selected, but he was
Yes.
like, yeah, no, this one's going up. And I was just like, wow, okay,
I can do this.
you
I'm
have
doing
this.
this.
Like,
Mhm.
And he's been design he was a designer for, forever. He's been in the business for a long time. So I'm like, okay, well, if he's saying I got this, then okay, Shemeika, you have this.
Exa
So when I graduated,
Mhm.
the school kind of got into some accreditation issues, and I was just like, okay, I can't keep putting money into a school that may
Mhm.
not even
Right.
honor my degree yet. And so I remember sitting with one of my good friends in Fort Lauderdale, and I was just like, listen, I was like, I can't, I don't, I just want to do someone's house for real. Like
Mhm.
I'm not licensed, but I just need someone to let me do something. And she was like, you can do mine. And I was like, really? And she's like,
Mhm.
yeah, you can do mine. I got a little budget. Let's see what we can do. And so at first she had said, do the living room, but her
Mhm.
living and dining were like right off of each other, right?
Okay,
No,
okay.
she said only the dining room, right? So there's the dining room, but it's one of those kind of open dining
Yes,
room kind of flows into the
yes,
living room.
yes.
And so I said to her, I said, you sure you don't want to do both? And she's like, no, we'll just start with the dining room for now. And I said, listen, by the time I'm done with this dining room, you're gonna want to do this living
Okay,
room.
let her know. You let
And
her
she was like,
know.
we can just halfway through the design, she's like,
What are your thoughts for
okay,
the
yeah.
Yes, what
I think
what are your
we've
thoughts for the
got it
living
because
room?
you can't
Now, it was
because if you have
odd.
two spaces that are right adjacent to each
Yes,
other and one
yes.
is amazing and it's like
It doesn't flow, it's odd.
nothing. So we ended up doing both. And yeah, and she was my first client. And I kid you not, hands down, and one of my best friends to this day. And I've done her brother's home. In Atlanta. I've done her cousin's home up in the Apopka
Mhm.
area in Orlando. I've done her mother's home. She has a condo on
Wow.
Ocean Avenue in Boca. Like that one opportunity led to so many other
Mhm,
opportunities. You know
mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
And
the
I was
word
so
says that your
thankful
gift
for
makes
her.
room for you.
Listen, and it definitely did. And she already knows like she's my favorite client forever, you know. But I think that was kind of how it all kind of started. And I was still teaching full time,
Mhm.
but when I wasn't teaching, I was designing,
That's
you
awesome.
know?
That's awesome. And, that's what passion does.
It
It's
absolutely.
like a fire that doesn't it never goes out. It just keeps kin smoldering and,
Mhm.
it's just there and it's just waiting, It's like I gotta do this,
Yes.
I have to do this.
I call it I was at that point where I read it in a book and they coined or an article and they coined the phrase so well. They called it creative tension.
Mm.
I was at that point where I had creative tension. It's like when you are made to create and you're not, and
Mm.
it's all kind of getting backed up. But I just need to do something.
Yes.
And yeah, so that's kind of I think that's where I was. And I'm just glad that I kind of just followed
Absolutely.
my passion and did what makes me happy. And I would always, recommend people just do what makes you happy.
Abs
Do what you're good at cuz you'll always be happy.
Absolutely. Now that's happily ever sold, that's a whole word. Just do what you're
Just
good
do what
at.
you're good at.
Take that down. So I have a question. So as an interior designer,
Yes.
is it hard, or I guess I need to say, how hard is it to go into other people's home? Even what, and I'm just saying this is a casual event, like you're there for dinner or you're there to visit.
Yeah, just
How
hanging out.
hard is it to turn your brain off? Do you do you automatically go into design mode
And
and walk
listen.
in the you're sitting here talking and then you're walking
Oh
the
my god.
space and you've created this
Okay.
whole look. Please tell me
I
how
have a
hard is
story that
it?
is so hilarious. And it was if he ever sees this, he's gonna crack up. So I have a guy friend of mine, and we were just hanging out one time, just a platonic
Mhm,
friend.
mhm.
And, he had a space like on the water and he had this really nice view. And but bachelor pad
Mhm,
nonetheless,
mhm,
nice
mhm.
though. He has good
Yes.
taste, but bachelor pad. So I walk in and there's a ping pong table. And I was like, okay, gonna have
D
some fun here. But then beyond that, there's a couch,
Mhm.
and then he has two chairs kind of like this, but he has one on this side and he had the other like right here, but excuse me, it flowed into the other room, like
Hmm,
the kind of like
okay.
sunroom.
Yes.
But the chair was like right there, right?
Oh.
And but there was a corner right next to it. And I was like, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm
Mhm.
just like,
That's
you just
really
move that chair right there. It would just really open this space up. And I'm 100%
try
saying to myself, Shemeika, do not come in people's house
and
moving their
and
furniture.
change their space.
Like, don't move this man's furniture. That's rude to just come in and start rearranging people's house.
This-
And he went to the bathroom.
and
And
you
I
move the
sat
chair.
there and I stared at that chair and I was just like, and I literally got up and just moved the chair and I put it kind of like
Did he
diagonal in the corner. And
did
then
he
I just,
notice?
but I said, you know what? He probably wouldn't even notice. And so he's in the kitchen and we're just chatting and I'm on the couch and he just stops and he's like, something feels different. And I'm like, oh God. And he's like, I don't know. It's just, I said, okay, I'm sorry. I moved your chair, and he's
Uh-huh.
like, I was like, it was in, I just put it over there. It was in the way and it just opened it. He was like, no,
He
he was
liked it.
like,
He liked
it,
it.
it
Mhm.
flows. It just,
Mhm.
he was like, and all I had to do was put the chair right there. And he's like, do you know how many times I've walked around that chair to get into the other room
And all he
and
had to do was
never
just never thought
thought
about moving it.
this corner would be a perfect space for this chair. So he was like, okay, Mika, now I understand I get why you do what you do.
Absolutely.
Because he's like, I've been in this house for how long? And that chair has always been in that
Because we
position.
get comfortable and we're in our mind. And you walk in your home and then you're just used to moving to the bedroom, to the kitchen, to the living room, wherever. And
It completely opened up his space.
yes,
And he was just like, no, okay, Shamika, he was like, I get it now. Now I know you do what you do. But I try not to do that. I try not to.
but it
It's
happens
hard
nine
to
times
turn
out of
off
10.
your design
Okay.
brain. And sometimes, it's just people can, I
Hmm.
just like, that if you just put that over there and
Yes.
they're like, you're right. So
Yes.
sometimes I do just give little tidbits. I don't give too much because I charge for that. But
Exactly. But so
but I do.
speaking of spaces, so when people are buying a home, sometimes our first home, you know, it may not be the 76,000 square foot home that we
Mhm.
would like, right? It's not the large master bedroom with the
Mhm.
humongous windows and sitting area and just so. My question to you is how do we take those smaller spaces and make it appear larger? Because what I tell a lot of my clients is, especially when there's a specific budget, right?
Correct.
And so that let's say the framework of the home, the totality of the space, it works for what they need.
Mhm.
But maybe the individual rooms are not quite as large,
Mhm.
but it's what fits in their price point. I try to tell them don't get totally hung up with it because how you place certain things,
Mhm.
you might can enlarge the space. Now, I'm not an interior designer. That's probably exactly where my expertise stops from what I've seen on HGTV.
Right.
But
Which
tell
is
me,
Disneyland for interior design. So we're clear.
uh, clear.
HGTV is Disney World for design.
So we're clear with
They
that
do
now.
not show you the good, bad, and the ugly. They give you snippets, but reality sometimes, is no, we're not going to finish this project in 2 days.
Mm,
HGTV
correct.
will have you believe this can
Correct.
happen in 2 days, but they don't
Correct.
show you, the multitude of resources and people that are working behind the scenes to make that happen in 2 days. And
Understood.
realistically, most people aren't that available
Wow.
all at one time.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. And a lot of times materials and such, labor, all of
Mhm.
that is not available
All at one time.
all at one time.
Correct.
So
But
that
to get back to your
definitely.
question,
Yes.
I would like to believe that because I started off in a modest way, like my first client wasn't, the huge mansion,
Mhm.
the owner of the huge mansion.
Mhm.
But I do feel like one of my specialties is small spaces. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so one of the things that I think people tend to do when they want a grand feel is to get very large furniture. And if your space is small, you want to get furniture that actually is to scale for the space. So if you have a small room, don't go get a king size bed.
That's a great tip.
You know, sometimes you got to settle for the queen,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that's okay. Just try to only have two people in the bed. It's fine.
Mm. Nice.
But or if you have a small room, maybe, and placement doesn't work, maybe a day bed. You know what I mean? Something
Mm.
you can place against the wall. And sometimes I think people always want to have their bed in the center of the room. But if you really don't have a lot of floor space, sometimes putting your bed in a corner works better. And then you can have some flow in your room. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
I
Because putting
do.
your bed in the center of the rooms will block off a lot of the flow of your room.
Yes, thank you very much for being in my business. So my bed is currently in the middle of the room, and just literally last week, I was driving and thinking, and I was like, I wonder if I can move my bed, just because I just want to change the room some.
Sometimes
So that's a
if you
great
need
tip.
more, if you're in a small room and you need more flow, putting your bed kind of in a corner actually does work.
All right.
And then you opt for maybe one side end table instead of two. Because people, I think
Yes.
traditionally people think I need a bed in the middle and two on the side, but
Yes.
sometimes not so.
Sometimes you don't need it. So, happily ever sold. Please take this down. We're cutting out the large, gigantic furniture.
They people like to have. They think grand is always big, but grand doesn't always have to be big. You know, because a lot of times grand is the feel.
Mhm, mhm.
Does it
Mm,
feel grand?
okay.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be huge, but does it feel grand?
How can I achieve that look? The grand look.
Um, you can select pieces that kind of speak to you that have more character. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
A lot of times, large pieces tend to be very ornate. A lot of times, I mean, and it just depends on your style.
mhm.
But if there's a piece that speaks to you and that you just like, it just has a really nice style. I like the style of this furniture, and but it doesn't have to be huge.
Mm,
It can be
okay.
stylish, but not huge.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I think for people who have smaller spaces, um, trying to find pieces that can work for more than one purpose, so you will have less spaces in the
Mm,
room.
functionality.
Correct. You don't have to have as much furniture in the room if that furniture serves more than one purpose.
Got it.
So um, let's say you have a small room, but if somebody comes in your room, you don't want them to sit on your bed. But
Mhm.
I don't really have enough room for a bench. But maybe you do. Maybe the bench doesn't have to be at the foot of the bed. Maybe the bench can be under the window. You know what I mean? And maybe
Oh,
that bench has storage inside of it. Do you know what I mean? And so it's
yes.
seating for your guests, but then you can house your pillows or your whatever bedding without having to, take up space in your closet.
Hmm. That's a great
Do
idea.
you know what I mean?
That's a great idea.
Um, but yeah, so I think sometimes less is more.
Mhm.
Less is definitely more. And if you're a person like me who kind of gets flustered with clutter, um, you want to be able to find have good pieces, but pieces that won't take up a lot of space. Like I have a
Okay.
very large dresser in my room,
Mhm, mhm,
and it fits a lot of clothes in it. I have a lot of clothes,
mhm.
but it's against the wall. It's very compact in this way, but it's very long. Do
Oh,
you know what I mean? So it
yes.
doesn't take up a lot of floor space, but it's against the wall, so I can have the space that I need for my clothing,
Okay.
but it doesn't like intrude upon my floor space.
So really taking a look at placement, where
Hmm.
you place things, size and placement.
Right.
Less is more.
Right. If
Those
you're
are
in a
great
room where
tips.
because
Yeah.
traditionally people look through magazines and
Mhm.
they're in like a furniture store, and the furniture store is going to show you all the pieces you could put in the room. That doesn't
Yes.
mean you need to put all of those pieces in the room.
That's
They're
true.
going to show you the chest of drawers. They're going to
Mhm.
show you
The
the dresser,
armoire.
the
Mhm.
armoire, the two nightstands, and the
Nightstands.
bed. And
Yes.
people tend to just be like, okay, I'll just buy the whole set. You don't need the whole set. If you don't have the space, you don't need the whole set.
Mm.
Maybe your room can't fit the chest of drawer and the dresser. So
Yes.
just get the dresser.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that's a fantastic tip. And I know that because I've probably been guilty of that more
Buying the whole
more than
set?
one. Absolutely. So again, thank you for being in my business. I'm feeling a little attacked on my own show, but it's
Yeah. I
okay.
had a client
So
one time ask, he said, "Hey, I just need you to, come with me to room go and we'll just, pick out a room. We'll just buy the room." What? Listen, if you just want to go into rooms to go and buy a room, you don't need me.
right, right. So let's talk about what about colors? So colors and light, because in my mind sometimes I'll think, okay, if I need to brighten up a space, I'll just grab more lamps or get more lighting.
Mhm.
So what do you think about that? Is that the solution for that? How can I change that, bring a
Um,
little make the room feel more airy and light?
Typically, when you want your room to kind of feel more open and airy, you want to go with a lighter color.
Okay.
You want to go lighter. Um, and definitely sometimes if you get the like more of a high gloss paint
Mm-hmm.
or like an eggshell where it can pick up some of the reflective lighting,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe less of a matte color,
Okay.
it can create a little bit more of a reflective element, add a little more of a reflective element to the room,
Okay.
and that lighting kind of bouncing off also gives it that light feel. Because I'm a person who
Mm.
likes I really do like natural lighting,
Yes.
but if you're in a space where you don't really have a window,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but you want it to be lighter. Um, Maybe switching out your bulbs for some LED bulbs because the LED bulbs are typically emit more light
Okay.
and also they'll use less energy. So you can brighten it up with your bulbs, but definitely try not to go dark if you're in a small space and you want it to feel more open.
Okay. What, and this is putting you on the spot, and I know you like all the rooms. So what would you say is your favorite room to decorate? To design. I hate to use the word decorate. I feel that it's like a dated word, but to design.
Decorating and designing are different. Because typically when you decorate, you're not really moving walls,
Mm.
switching plumbing. You don't have to adjust a floor plan.
Okay.
You don't really need to call in any contractors just to decorate. It's more of bringing in the decorative elements,
Okay.
But when you're designing, you can literally revamp a whole space, layout and everything. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So decorators don't typically say, "Hey, if we take this wall out and then move this," like that's
Got
not really
it.
what decorators do.
Okay. That I didn't know that. So that was
Decorators are very good at making it pretty. You know what I mean? And that's a skill all in itself. You know what I
okay.
mean? Sometimes and it's okay because sometimes clients don't they have a great layout.
Mhm.
You know
Mhm.
what I mean? The layout is perfect. They just need to make it pretty. So sometimes I decorate and sometimes I design.
Oh.
But usually um designers like to bring in more architectural elements, bring in different textures. We want to change the flooring. We
Yes.
want to
Yes.
do things like
Yes.
that. So, um, yeah, designers kind of take it a step further.
Okay. That's definitely good to know. I did not know that. So I just learned something new today. Thank you. So your favorite room. What or I'll say one of your favorite rooms to decorate. So if someone says, "Oh, I want you to do my kitchen. I want you to do my bedroom." What do you say is a favorite room of yours to do?
Um, I really like dining rooms.
Okay.
I like dining rooms and I like bathrooms
Okay.
because I really have a thing about bathrooms that aren't inviting.
Okay.
You know, it's just one of those places where you just want to go in and feel good about
Hmm.
using the bathroom there.
And I wonder, is would you say that it's one of the most neglected rooms of the home
Um, I
in some
think it's
cases?
one of the most intimidating rooms of the home just because
Okay.
a lot of times people assume that a bathroom design is going to cost them a lot of money. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And but there are very inexpensive things that you can do to enhance a bathroom without breaking the bank.
Okay.
It's just, and again, sometimes people have champagne taste and beer budgets,
Yes.
but in my experience, especially because I've done a lot of bathrooms and they're not huge bathrooms, but
Hmm.
the impact of the bathroom is like, oh wow, this is such a nice bathroom.
Mm.
But it's not large, but it's amazing. You know what I mean? You
Yes.
walk in and you're like, oh, okay, I have no problem using the bathroom in here. Yeah,
Mm.
so I think bathrooms are one of those spaces where I just want to change the world and make everyone have a wonderful experience when they go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And that could just be my own personal, issues with just having a clean bathroom.
Understood. Understood. So bathrooms, and you said dining rooms?
I like dining rooms too.
Okay.
I feel like you can have a lot of fun with dining rooms because I really like fun lighting,
Yes.
and dining rooms are just one of those places where people you can do a lot of statement pieces in a dining room.
You can. And I would say too, what I
The
love about
chairs, the
dining rooms.
tables, the
Yes.
lighting, the chandeliers,
Yes.
the walls. Like it's just one of those places where who doesn't want to dine in a beautiful in a beautiful environment,
Absolutely.
so I think dining rooms I enjoy as well.
Yes, and depending on the size of the space
Mhm.
or not, now we know how we can maximize our space. You can even create even just different parts of it that appeals to different people. And you have the holidays you can change out and personalize it for the different
Mhm.
holidays. And so
Yep.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
I definitely get that.
Dining rooms are fun.
That's
They're
good.
fun. You can bring a lot of character into a dining room.
So we know that you do the decorating, the designing. So even outside of that, I think last time I was speaking to you, you mentioned about a pop up shop that you are curating right now. Let me
Yes,
know a
I
little
am.
bit because when people think of interior design, they think about just the in home work that you do within their home.
Mm.
Tell me what this pop up shop. Tell me what that's going to entail.
Well, the goal is kind of like a spin-off of like my company's mission, which is to create spaces that really work for that person and that is personal to them. It's going to be just right for you. Do you know what I
I
mean?
love that.
And so but a lot of times people, they get to a point where they just don't know how to pull it all together. And
Mm.
so what I want to do is be able to create design collections that they can purchase that's kind of already pulled together for them.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
already pulled together and you can just take it home and place.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Because sometimes people will go to a place like Home Goods and Home Goods can be overwhelming for a lot of people. It's a happy place for me,
Mhm, mhm.
but or going to somewhere like this, some people go to like at home and it's just so much.
There's a lot there.
And you have an opportunity to customize your space, but pulling this window treatment
Mhm,
with these pillows with that chair with this lamp or whatever, sometimes it just becomes overwhelming
mhm,
and they don't know how to pull it all in. But if you have a collection of items that are already put together
mhm.
that work for you, you're like, I like all of this. Like, cool, you can have all of this. You know what
Nice.
I mean?
I do. Tell me, how do you
And
get ready
so
for
out
that?
so the pop-up shop will essentially kind of display different collections
Mhm,
that people can purchase as a set,
mhm, mhm.
and hopefully, people can take it home and make at least one aspect of their home or one area of their home a little bit more um give it more of a high design feel.
Yes, and you curate all these items. So
Yes.
these are items that you've gone out and you found on
Right.
your excursions, your trips
I
out and
pull from
about.
lots of places, and I do like I love mixing like the old with the new, or like so something may come from, an antique shop, and another piece may be something that's a little more modern. But
Mhm.
when you place things together, they just tell a different story.
Yes.
And so that's the goal, and it's gonna be my first one. So listen, stay tuned for Just Wright Designs pop up shop, um, and hopefully they'll be well received. I mean, and I'm okay with it either way because I understand that everybody has their own taste. So if I create a collection, it'll be for that person who that collection's for.
Yes.
It may not be everybody, but I also I want to keep the design feel of it. So I wouldn't like I never create two of the
Mhm,
same collections.
mhm.
So no one will be like, "Oh, you got that collection from Just Right Designs. I got the same one." No, you don't.
And
No,
I'm
you don't.
sure and I'm thinking you'll
I
probably
don't make
have
two of the same
different
collection.
price points as well too,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Okay.
So I mean, it could be something for a bathroom.
Mhm.
There may be a vanity with a mirror and some lighting, and you're like, "Oh my god, that looks amazing together." You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, and somebody may have a powder room or, a half bathroom at their house, and they're just like, "Oh, I could just take this all right now and go put it in that bathroom." You sure
Mhm.
can.
What I love about the pop-up shop, and I can even see you doing this quarterly, I'm just putting it out there, is
We're
because
working on it. We're
when
working on
when
it.
we think about interior design, um, I know for just say the average person, it's something that we see on TV. And we don't even know that we won't think of even having access to something like that,
Correct.
right?
Mhm.
And we see the home goods, we see the at homes, and so we see it on TV, and then we go out and try to do it. But to actually know someone that this is their craft, to know you, like you're here, like you are a local to this community, and to say, "Hey, I'm curating these items. I'm having this pop-up shop. This is my company. I do this." It's like having access to what we see on
Mhm.
TV, and that's one of the reasons why I want you have to have you on the show, for people to know and to say, don't be intimidated. Like, if it's, whether it's your bathroom, whether it's your bedroom, whether it's your kitchen, you want it to you want it to pop, you want to refresh it, you want to create something different. Like, we have access to you.
Yeah,
We have access to
absolutely.
you locally. Like, we don't have to try to emulate what we see. We can, but there's someone, you have the gift, you have the eye and the talent
Mhm.
to provide us that service.
Absolutely, and I think that's what I want to be able to bring to people, and not just homeowners, you know?
Mhm.
These are things that someone who has a if you're renting or leasing an apartment,
Mhm.
you can still have a very chic and beautiful designed
Absolutely.
apartment. It doesn't have to
Absolutely.
be, um, it doesn't you don't have to completely revamp and change the space, but you can bring in those design elements. You can, hopefully you can paint. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know what kind of landlords are out there still not letting people paint, but bring in some color, and just like I said, selecting the right pieces that are
Mhm.
perfect for the size of the space,
Mhm.
and just pulling together those elements. So it's not always about being a homeowner
Mhm.
in order to have that high design feel for your home.
Absolutely. And what I love, what you said about even renting and creating that special space for yourself, because even with that, it gives you that spark to say, hey, you know, of having that goal of having your own space
So
down,
that you can do more.
so you can do
Correct.
more.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. It likes that spark. I love that. So you are on social media at
I am.
at Just Right Designs.
Just right. I'm on Instagram. Just underscore right, like my last name, WRIGHT. So just underscore right underscore LLC on Instagram. And I'm also, you can come to my you can visit my website, www.myjustrightdesigns.com. And you can fill out the questionnaire. You just say, hey, I'd like to do a consultation. We I typically, if you're not too far, I mean, and if you're far and you want me to come, as long as you can afford for me to come, I'll come.
Mhm. Mhm.
But we do a consultation at best, and at least give you a direction for your space, get some ideas. What can I do? How can I use this space to maximize its potential? But I love visiting clients' homes and just seeing the space, which is why, when you said, okay, you're into real estate, because I actually
Mhm.
thought about real estate
Mhm.
because of my ability to just see
Absolutely.
a space and be like, oh no, this house is amazing.
Mhm.
We could do this and we could do that. And so it's almost like the same. It's the same in that you have to sell that vision to your
Mhm.
clients,
Absolutely.
and I have to sell the vision to my clients, because the
Yes.
client may see a home and it'll look like, yeah, no, we don't want this house, but
Mhm.
it's like, no, 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 but wait, picture this. And
Absolutely.
sometimes you do have to create that picture. So
Even with my sellers, even now, of course, we're in the market where, like, homes are moving very quickly, but you still want to make sure that the home that you are presenting to a potential buyer is visually appealing. And so that's something that you can even help with as well, with
mhm.
helping to come into a seller's home and say, okay, let's stage it like this,
Correct.
so that
Let's situate it this way. Let's organize,
absolutely.
because I think sometimes with sellers and homeowners, they've had the space look this way for so long.
Yes.
They kind of forget to how to reimagine.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And like I said, sometimes just doing a quick shift here. Let's remove these pieces. Let's add this, a
Mhm.
couple of decorative pieces, and kind of, people don't understand how much decluttering
You took the
can
words
make a
right out of my
space
mouth.
so inviting
Yes, and lighter.
and
Mhm.
lighter. And it also opens up and makes it look like there's so much more floor space.
Yes,
So it gives
absolutely.
the space a brighter
Mhm.
feel. And so if you're a person who feels like your home is very cluttered,
Mhm.
um, think about maybe either purchasing some portable storage, or just taking some of the pieces out, maybe selling them, especially if it's a piece you don't even utilize.
Mm,
If there are things in your home, I haven't really looked or touched at that thing for years, you probably don't even need it there. You probably don't even need it there. You know what I
absolutely.
mean? And
Yes, I do.
I had to work with my mother um, on how to kind of declutter and open up her space because Caribbean people like to hold on to things.
All of it.
I don't know why,
No, they hold
but
on to all of it for
because
all from all the
in case
years.
somebody needs it,
Absolutely.
even if
Absolutely.
they never do.
Mhm.
And so, but I think in doing so, she realized how the feel of the room was so much more um, inviting, and it was just more clear. And you walk in, and there's
Mhm.
nothing obstructing your space. And
Yes,
so,
you can move, because would not even be able to move freely. It's you feel very suffocated.
mhm,
Listen, Shamika, you are
yes,
giving us some great tips. Happily ever sold. This is what you need to do. You need to contact Miss Shamika Wright for a
please do
consultation.
561-633-9111.
You need to have her to come into your home to zhuzh up your space. She's given us some great, great complimentary tips today, but
Absolutely.
the rest you're going to have to pay for. And
I
she's
mean,
going to make it work
and
for
it's
your
worth
budget.
every dollar. I
In
promise you.
invest in yourself, invest in your space. Sellers, listen, talk to me. Let's get Shamika in your space so that we can maximize your revenue and get you the highest offer out there as well. Another thing we've talked about, Shamika is also available to do interior design with your Airbnbs. So investors, you
Absolutely.
have your Airbnbs out there.
Airbnb
Let Shamika come
owners,
on
let
in,
me help you.
personalize that space, so that you're being able to receive the maximum revenue from those that are coming in. Listen, there's just the opportunities are endless here.
Absolutely.
But I want to tell you, thank you so much for being on
Thank you for
Happily Ever
having
Sold
me.
today.
Thank you for having me.
Eh,
This was an amazing experience. I'm glad I
awesome.
was able to kind of talk about some of the things that I do or am doing because sometimes, you're just going and going. And
Absolutely.
yeah, every now and then you got to stop and really say, hey, I am doing this. I am doing this.
Absolutely. We are doing this. Happily Ever Sold, you're doing this. And thank you for watching. Again, this is Amelia the Realtor, and this has been another episode of Happily Ever Sold.
Happily ever so.